Today's episode is brought to you by Second Home Hollywood, a creative workspace and cultural venue committed to supporting entrepreneurship, innovation, and community. Whether you're looking for a place to write, meet, or work, Second Home is the place for you. Visit secondhome.io/Hollywood and enter code BACKSTAGE at checkout for a complimentary day pass. Welcome to In the Envelope, a podcast from Backstage, the one-stop shop for actors and creators both above and below the line. I am your host, Vinny Mancuso, Backstage Senior Editor and Professional Entertainment Obsessive. I'll be your guide through every corner of the creative industry with the help of some of your favorite stars. Here you'll find intimate, in-depth talks with today's most award-worthy names in film, television, and theater. Along the way, we'll get advice on living your best creative life, relatable stories of the highest highs and lowest lows, and maybe, just maybe, a rare peek in the envelope.
I always want to hold on to some rawness, because you look at non-actors and you see their first movies or the second movies and they're incredible. And then you get to the third or fourth movie and they've lost it because they realise, oh, I'm an actor, I should be an actor. And I'm like, hold on to that rawness, because that's what the truest form there is, and that's the purest, you know? Hold on to that, whatever it is, that untrained thing that you're doing.
Welcome to In the Envelope, the Actors Podcast. I am your host, as always, Backstage Senior Editor Vinny Mancuso, and I am, to borrow a few words from the Banshees of Inisherin, fecking delighted that joining us today is none other than Barry Keoghan. Now, to put the conversation that's about to follow into context, when we talked to Barry, he was barely 12 hours removed from his first Golden Globe ceremony, where Banshees took home 3 wins, including Best Picture, Musical, or Comedy. And on the same morning we talked to him, the very same morning, the Banshees of Inisherin was nominated for 5 Screen Actors Guild Awards, including a Best Supporting Actor nod for Barry himself for his just heartbreakingly earnest performance as the local boy named Dominic. Barry was pretty excited, to say the least, and he should be. This is just a deeply, deeply talented performer right in the middle of a capital M moment. There's not just all this awards buzz for Banshees. Barry's also coming off of Marvel's Eternals and playing the Joker in The Batman. Those were back-to-back. And he's also got Emerald Fennell of Promising Young Woman fame. Her next movie, Saltburn, right over the horizon. And it's not just, the successes themselves, but the story of how Barry got here. From the very small town of Summerhill in Dublin, Ireland. It's just incredible. And his view on it all is just so refreshingly honest, refreshingly open. It's a really wonderful conversation. Let's get right into it. Here is Barry Keoghan.
How are we, Vinny?
We're doing good. How are you doing? I honestly cannot think of a better time to be talking to you. I don't even really know where to start. So I guess, how you feeling? How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Last night was a feckin' ball. It really was. It was nice. It was, it was a good experience. I came home and I was like, I just lay in bed. I actually got home early. I came home at 10 and I came home, lay in bed and just thought about all the people that I'd met, and just being in a room full of good energy and everyone's there to do the same thing and celebrate, and it was really a moment for me. And I lay on my bed there and I looked out the window and the silhouette of the palm tree, and it's just like, feckin' LA is great. It really is, it's great.
That was your first Golden Globes? That was your first Golden Globes?
Yeah, first Golden Globes, yeah.
What was the most kind of surreal moment for you? What was the big...
When Eddie Murphy was like, I've got 3 things, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna take this in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this in. And then he pay taxes. I was like, I was like, come on, I really need some advice here.
I mean, it's not terrible advice overall.
No,
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you woke up this morning, they're announcing SAG nominations.
SAG, yeah,
And that's I
that's
think it was
great.
five nominations for Banshees of
Oh man,
Inisherin.
it's just
Um,
insane. It's so nice to get the recognition. We do this to get recognized and for our work, obviously, as well. And so when that happens, it is nice. It doesn't feel real, to be honest,
mhm.
at the
Yeah,
minute.
I was gonna ask because like, us, I mean, I'm in the press, but in general, people outside, they have a very specific like view of award season. They take odds, they see who's winning this, who's winning this,
Yeah,
and I'm curious. You're someone in it, and now you're someone in it as like a nominee, a front runner.
yeah.
What what's your relationship to it? As you're there's all this
The
talk.
relationship, yeah, the relationship to it is. I said this before. It's the only things that have changed for me is opportunities I get from it.
Hmm.
And I mean that in the highest respect. My commitment, my will to explore characters, to learn from characters, to elevate as a human, as a man, to find myself, to reach artistic levels that I didn't think I could reach before, and to mature with it all is that all remains. The only thing is the opportunities. From these
Hmm.
things, you get people will listen and look at your work. Not that they haven't before, but they've it kind of gives you a platform now, and you kind of get to meet filmmakers that you wouldn't have before because you're in them circles now.
Hmm.
Um, so that's the only thing that's changed. And I'm massively respectful towards any nomination that I get.
Hmm.
They are the only things that have changed.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, you just get to put SAG nominee on your resume now,
Yeah,
and then maybe you
exactly.
check it off. And it's so thrilling because I amongst all of this, I think recently you also just had your first kid.
Yeah,
Well, congratulations, first of all, that's
thanks, man.
incredible. And I assume, that's also kind of changed all of this in terms of like,
It puts everything into perspective. It really does. You know, it gives me new motives. I want to make a movie for him one day. A movie that he can sit down and watch.
hmm
Maybe an animated one. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. But it really does. And I wish he was here to enjoy it with me. But I gotta let him be at home. And maybe he'll come along to the next one.
absolutely.
But yeah, I'm on a buzz right now
Yeah, I can imagine,
with jet lag as well.
it's a bit of up and down and right in the middle. I
Hmm.
understand that completely. And we on this podcast we love to sort of look at the journey to get to this place.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm so excited to talk to you now because I think a lot of people listening to this, they're like, okay, well, how do I get to that same buzz? You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah, yeah.
So I do want to, I want to go back to the beginning. I was looking
Hmm.
at your IMDb, and your very first IMDb credit is a character named Lupo in a short film titled White. Uh,
Oh yeah, well that wasn't my first. I don't know why that's there. That was a
oh, I'm glad I could point it out for it.
yeah.
What do you think was your first
My first would be Between the Canals, a movie called Between the Canals, and I took this number off the local shop where I'm from, beside the boxing club that I was in. And I took the number down, and I said open audition.
hmm
We used to hang outside the shop as kids. I remember taking it down and not allowing anyone to see me taking it down because I was afraid I'd get stick. And they're like, "Oh, are you into acting?" And I took it down. I went home and rang it, and I asked the director. I was like, "So I just seen this." He's like, "Oh yeah, we're waiting on funding," and I had no clue what that meant. I was like, "Oh, but how do you get in the film? I
uh-huh.
seen you need a dirt bike. I've got a dirt bike. Is it you just show up?" He's like, "Well, yeah, just show up." So I just showed up with my dirt bike. I got on the movie, and then from that I went on to another part, and then I got a break in '71. Began the Mange, and from there I started to really you know learn about my craft and what it is I was doing, and not just for escapism, but what is this this thing that I'm trying to do, and it's so vast as well. There's so many things you know layered into it, um, and I just really got interested in it, and just and was blessed to then work with really strong filmmakers along the way.
What was the you mentioned that you took that number down, but you were kind of keeping it to yourself. What was the initial pull to take that number down? Was it
I
just
think I
was it
seen you get off school, the dates and the same dates as I don't know at school, and I was like, oh well, I'd get off school, so.
yeah, it's not just,
And
I
I got
mean
paid
like that's
120 euro, I think.
that's a good reason as any, you know?
120 euro to show up on a bike. I'm like, I'm there.
Yeah, and you already had the dirt bike. Look at that.
Yeah,
That's incredible. And so, but you at some point amongst all this, you're studying at the factory,
yeah.
which is in Dublin, which
Well, I
is
wouldn't say studying, because the factory it is what it's called, the factory. It was an
a
old
literal fact.
factory, you
Yeah.
know, and Jim Sheridan and that they all they were all there, and but even then, like they were just kind of going in, and they had cameras, and we'd be experimenting and bringing in scenes, printing them off the internet, and we all throw a fiver towards the heating. It wasn't a school of any sort. It was a place where we were like, experimenting with characters and cameras um, and watching documentaries and old movies and then it became bigger because the kind of the name it was getting, but it was an old place. I'd miss school to go here. Like I'd leave school and go in my uniform
Hmm.
and
And
go
so
and like learn scenes and
there wasn't as much of a technical thing. This was just sort of, immersing yourself in it, would you say?
yeah, it was like the actor's studio almost. Like they said this whole bunch of people got together and just kind of workshop scenes and broke it down and like what about doing it this way, or what about all right, go home for 2 days and be in character. So I'd go home for 2 days and be in character. My friends would be like, what are you doing, you weirdo? I'll be like, I'll be just like wearing different clothes, random clothes and all because I'm in character, and I'd come back and
Yeah.
do that scene then. But it was just so far from where I'm from, that kind of stuff, and but it gave me, I loved it. It was escapism, as I said, and there was something else. I don't know. It was just, then you start getting results from it. You start getting cast in movies, and you realize what you're doing then. But yeah, my
It's interesting.
attraction to it is that I can never figure it out, and I think that's what I love about it. Is like it's just a total big experiment and
Yeah.
exploration.
That's interesting because when we talk to actors, it's a study in trying to pinpoint any formal thing they go back to. But it kind of sounds like you don't really have kind of a process or anything like that. Like when say like nowadays when you get a role, are you still in that place where you're just kind of
Yeah, I
experimenting?
always want to hold on to some rawness,
Hmm.
because you look at non-actors and you see the first movies or the second movies, and they're incredible. And then you get to the third or fourth movie, and they've lost it because they realize, oh, I'm an actor. I should be an actor. Therefore, I should learn how to, have a proper diction, or how to learn how to project. And I'm like, hold on to that rawness, and because that's what the truest form there is, and that's the purest. If you can hold on to that while learning your lines, while being in an accent, hold on to that, whatever it is, that untrained thing that you're doing, keep that. And I know that's kind of a process though in itself, when you're like trying to hold on to, what I mean, if there's a thought process that goes into trying to be raw. But what I'm saying is to kind of just not have too much. Like you hear actors being like, "This is what I do. I get into character." And like I do whatever suits you. What suits me is my way is my way, and it's kind of a collab of learning from different things. And I stay in accent. I wear the character's clothes, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm. Some actors just go totally full. I don't know. It's an excuse not to be nice, but it's I've got my way, and I think there is no right way. I think when you
Hmm.
start to follow a certain way, you can become kind of predictable, and what works for you works for you. It's art at the end of the day. I mean, it's I mean, there is no right way. It's all opinion based in my sense.
Is that I'm just looking at your resume, the types of roles you take, and the performances you put on, is that unpredictability a big driving force for you? Because that's kind of what it feels like, is that, even
Mm.
within moment to moment, it does feel like you're a performer who very unpredictable, which is something that's
Yeah, and
very
it's not necessarily getting locked down in a certain way. I've worked with actors before, and the director will come over and ask them to do it a certain different way, and they'll get offended by it.
hmm
I'm like, I don't understand why you get offended, because it's a collaboration. You know, I want to give you everything I have. I'll do it 180 the other way, and I also want to figure me. I also want to explore and go deep into this and see, can I do it that way, and push limits and that. Um, so unpredictability for me is just kind of know your backstory, know your homework, but let it go, and make those choices in the moment. And I know that kind of in the moment, in the present, and is what everyone kind of strives to be, and that can be mechanical then because people start thinking of it, but you honestly need to just let it go. I do, anyways. I sound like such a fucking idiot. Oh, let it go,
No,
coming
it
from me, big actor.
it makes sense though, because I something I hear a
That's
lot
my
is
process, and that's not the right way, but that's how I do it.
it's
But
it's
I'm still
something.
learning. I'm still learning, and that's the beauty of it. I take little bits from others, and I'm always curious to how other actors get into character and how they work, and I'll try that sometimes. But that's the beauty of this, man. It's just a total fucking, it's painful at the same time. It's really painful, but it is beautiful.
I mean, that's why I love this job. I'll ask the same question 1,000 times and get 1,000 different answers, because
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. There's no one way to do it. If there was one way to do it, I think everybody would
I
probably be
know, I
an
know.
actor.
Do you know what I mean? Show up to the audition. Make sure your hair is neat.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I mean, I don't show up to the audition at all.
Exactly. There's only three rules, and
I'm only messing. Only
Eddie
messing.
Murphy already told it to you.
But
Um,
what I mean. It's like, don't follow a certain way. Like, obviously, yeah, be do to get by, but just do it your way. I mean, I'm always under the impression that when you do it your way, it's different. That's
mhm,
unique, And people sometimes like, I don't know what it is I can't pinpoint. But I think that's when you're truly doing it your way,
mhm.
rather than imitating or trying to do it like someone else. Or how would that person act this character, or being predictable, or playing it safe, or I think just do it your way and have fun, and not have fun, be in pain and miserable and happy, and that's what it's about. It's a roller coaster, isn't it?
When these, when we talk about these early roles, I'm curious if you had a role, a specific role or a moment where you kind of it crystallized for you, not only what acting meant for you, but like what you wanted to get out of it, basically.
I still don't know, man. I mean, it's I don't. It's from each role and from each kind of movie you go into, you get a lot of different things. You make a lot of friends, and that's the best thing about it as well. You become one big family. Um, but I still don't know what it is. Like, obviously the perks of this is great, and the lifestyle is great, and I'm very, very blessed to be able to do this. Because I'm doing what I truly love. But I don't know what it is that it's obviously escapism, and it's purely from an artistic point of like trying to express, and you
Absolutely.
know, yeah,
I mean, when I look back at your career as I've been started doing as I prepare for this, the moment that's stuck for a lot of people was the killing of a sacred
yeah,
deer.
yeah.
And I'm curious, that is it's such a hard performance to shake. And I think that in a lot of ways,
I remember someone said to me, they're like, "God, I've seen the Sacred Deer movie," and I was looking at my presses for weeks after. I was like, "You in your presses?" I'm like, "Feck's sake, man!" Was it
yeah,
that bad?
yeah. I mean, I'm curious, was there any thought after that performance as to, you know, that being the way people saw you, you know, not even
Such
in
a
real
weird
life,
little character.
like casting, in casting in terms of like trying to shake that performance
Yeah,
because
definitely,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, I'm still trying to shake that.
hmm
Um, and that's the beauty with Mark McDonagh's movie is I had a chance to really get everyone to feel for Dominic.
hmm
You know what I mean? And go with him. Because there's a lot of stereotype, and it's like the weird character will come in and it'll come into my agent, and it's just about picking now, and it's about being careful with choices, and
Hmm.
do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm still trying to shake that, to be quite honest. I'm 30 years old. Like I'm trying to move into playing
Yeah,
a dad.
exactly.
Got my
Well, I mean,
dad bod going on now.
I mean, like this is kind of how I felt, this was how I saw it with Eternals and stuff like that. I feel like when um the first images from Eternals came out, you were in it, you were wearing all black, and people were like, oh, he's,
Yeah,
that's Barry Keoghan, he's gonna be the secret villain.
he's gonna come in and fuck shit up.
But people came out of that and they're like, oh, you know what? He could probably be a romantic lead. It was
Yeah,
people took it
I
very
know, right? The
positively. Yeah,
torn was crazy. Like I was start
exactly.
seeing myself on memes and TikTok. I was like, what the? I was
Is
like,
that is that
whoa.
a is that a strange part of your job?
It was. It was, you know what I mean? But again, like, Drew didn't have, he fought for what he thought was right. And there was no, he had bad ways, but he was a likable character. And I can do that. I can do that. Well, I think I can. But, that's the challenge, is to go and play all sorts of characters and show range and have fun with it. Not, I don't want to play villains or like for the rest of my life, and
Hmm.
be stereotyped into that, because it's not fun being comfortable in certain roles like that. You know what I mean? So I always want a challenge.
When when a role comes your way or an audition comes your way, what is sort of the benchmark of, oh, this would be a challenge, this wouldn't be something I've done before.
Physicality. I'm starting to look at now. Is there an accent? Them two. Can I bring it to life? Can I? I can do an accent, okay, but can I make that accent sound real and livable, and do you know what I mean? Those things. His environment, the filmmaker, of course, the story. But there's a lot of things. What can I do with this role other than what's on the page? Is always
Hmm.
the question. What can I bring to him? What can I, can I add something in without taking away from the director's vision?
Hmm.
And what can I do? That's the fun bit.
Hmm. And that kind of just goes back to it's so interesting to talk to someone like you who it's almost hard to articulate both what you're
Yeah,
looking for,
yeah.
what you do, and how you do it. But I think that's, like you said, that's just how you have to do it, to
That's
get
how
to the
you.
place.
That's it, man.
I'm curious what your relationship to these days to auditions, as you are getting to a certain
I hate
place.
auditions, man. I hate them. I do. I hate them. I hate them. But you know what? It's a chance for you to put your vision down and kind of make a scenario. And I love that. With Chloe Zhao, I done that. With the Batman, I wasn't an audition, but I made a little short.
Hmm.
With with a few things, I just love kind of giving my interpretation. Um, it is nice, but I hate when it comes down to one or two, and you're waiting on that call. And you're like, did I get it?
Hmm.
Because then it's like, it feels like a job. I hate that. It should be a collaboration on all fronts. And when it comes down to, did I get it? Did I get it? Like, I don't know. It just feels. I don't like that. I don't like it.
You,
With
you,
Martin and with Emerald Fennell, that was a pure collaboration.
hmm.
I was honestly blessed. Like Martin, he wrote to me, and same with Emerald. Emerald came and met me, and I actually couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god, they want to work with me. But like that was nice. I was.
Hmm.
So I'm a massive fan of those two, and yeah.
I do want to go back very quickly to that. You mentioned you made a little Joker short for Matt Reeves. What was the deciding factor behind that, and what was the process of doing
It was
that?
just I seen it on an article. The villains may be the Riddler, and I said, oh yeah, the Riddler. I love the Riddler. And I just thought I'd make a little clip, send it in,
Hmm.
sent it in. Had a general with me with Dylan that week. Funny enough, and I mentioned it to him, and he said he'd have a look at it. And then 4 months later, I got a call, and they were like, they want you to play the Joker. I was like, wow, that is insane.
With the character like that, is that something, where you've played it and there's a chance you play it again? Is that something where
Oh,
you're just kind
I'd
of
only
mulling it
dream of
over
it.
in your head in between
Yeah,
projects?
yeah, I'd only dream of it. It's the role of a lifetime, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's the chance to kind of bring your whole spin to it, and that's the fun thing. Is to find the new, to find to discover the kind of new part of the Joker that we
Hmm.
haven't seen yet, and that's in collaboration with Matt, his vision and that. But that's the fun bit.
We'll see if we can use this as a springboard to make that happen.
Oh yeah.
Um, but you did mention, and this is something I read that for Banshees, uh, Martin McDonagh, he wrote the script and
Hmm.
then told you, I have this part for you. Is
Yeah.
that how it happened, or is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He emailed me and he was like, "I've got this part," and he's like, "Do you want to meet?" And I was in New York, and I was like, "Yeah, let's meet." And I had him on the front of my phone because I'm a big believer in attraction and that. And I literally took him off my phone the minute before we met. I actually showed him the picture, and he was laughing about it. But like, I had him on a list, man, for ages. Him and some other filmmakers that I've worked with as well. And I think for me, it's a law of attraction. It's getting the opportunity. And when you get the opportunity, that's your chance to make it happen. And if it
Hmm.
doesn't, it doesn't. But I feel you can attract that in, by being, for me anyways, being slightly religious and in a combination with a law of attraction, I think.
Absolutely. I'm
Hmm.
curious how how it changes things for you when someone says, I made this role for you. Does that change how you feel about it in terms of your ownership over it, or your how you approach it? Does that change anything
It's
at
a
all for
nice
you?
feeling because as an actor, and when you're always starting out, you're always it's a lot of rejection, and when someone says to you, "I've got this role for you," it's a nice thing. It is. It's so nice that you feel worth then.
Hmm.
Um, you feel like they've noticed what you've been doing.
I
And it's also a bit scary because you're like, oh shit, I have
Yeah,
a lot to bring now.
yeah. You wrote this picturing
You
me, and
wrote this
now
for
I
me.
have to
Okay,
do it.
well,
I
I'm
have to
just
do
gonna
this thing.
change it 100%.
Yeah,
It's my role. You gave it to me, right?
yeah.
Two weeks
It'd
into
be like
shooting, you're
kind
not
of
gonna recast me.
yeah. I
Gave
actually
this
wrote
to
this for
me.
someone else now. I'm sorry. I am curious though because this movie was not only delayed because of COVID, but I think you also missed a good deal of the rehearsals because of illness. So you kind of
Yeah,
had a bit more time with it, but it was a bit more time by yourself. So I'm curious how you think the role might have been different without that. What that extra time gave you, what that
I,
kind
I
of.
don't think it would have changed to be honest. I think Martin sticking by my side while I was quite ill was really nice.
Hmm.
And believing in me. Um, I was focused. Even though I was sick, set with it for a long time. Kind of knew Dominic, had him ready to go, and yeah, then I got ill. Um, but I came into it just like full commitment. Went over that onto that island, and that was it. Fully immersed. I don't think anything would have changed. Commitment
Hmm.
or work ethic.
But did anything sort of change with the character himself in terms of like, just sitting with it a bit more? Did you show up kind of with Dominic fully formed in your mind and it was just a
No,
matter of
never,
putting him on?
never. And that's
Yeah.
for me. That's what with every character I don't because I
Hmm.
want I want room to learn as I go along. If the director wants me to switch it 100, I don't want to be so set in stone.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm totally open to them going, no, no, no. Let's we have that. Let's do it this way. And when you totally set in stone and you think that you have it down to a T, I mean, then it gets that's not then you're not open to challenging or to trying new things. Because you've got it figured out in your head and you don't want to change it. Um, so you have to leave room for that. Definite.
Dominic has a very specific physicality. You mentioned that physicality is a
Mhm.
big part of the character, and this is,
Yeah.
it's the constant movements. I know this is a
Yeah. Yeah.
podcast. This is a podcast, so people can't see what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of
It's
I'm exactly, yeah. Again, people can't see what we're doing, but I am curious. When it's something that specific,
mhm.
how
It's
you
a
find
fine
how you
line.
find it.
There's a fine line because we don't want to do it for comedic point. All right, we don't want
Hmm.
to do this for laughs. He's a sincere little soul, and we want to humanize him as much as possible. And especially in and around that time, You know, and his backstory, you don't want to be. It's not funny to play with, or
Hmm.
that. So we wanted to make that real, and me and Martin just had a kind of scale of 1 to 10, how far we make it, or how far we go, or less. One being nothing, 10 being extreme. So yeah, we did a lot of time to kind of do that. A lot of ticks, a lot of little traits, and you know,
And that you kind of have a scale of how big to go. Was that the conversation? Was it, let's try a 2, let's try a 5? Was it?
let's try an 8, Martin.
Yeah.
No, we'll keep it 3. Let me go 8. Let me go 8 once.
Exactly. There is one particular scene from the movie that I do want to talk about, because
Yeah,
it's kind of it's the moment
yeah.
that kind of has stuck with people, and I kind of just want to hear your take on it from your perspective, because I think that would give us a bit of an idea into how you do the things you do, and that is the
Mm-hmm.
scene between you and Kerry Condon.
The
The
late.
sort of the well, there goes that dream
Well,
uh
there
scene.
goes
It
that
is it
dream.
is yeah, exactly. It's such a powerful scene.
Oh,
I
man, it's
really,
heartbreaking.
it's I think, again, it's one of those moments that really just sneaks up on you, and you think
Yeah.
about it, and it gets sadder and sadder and sadder.
It's
Um,
because it's left on him, and you see him go through it. And Martin does that on purpose. You see Dominic go through it, but not through it the way any other person would go through it. You know what I mean? He goes through it in a way that just accepts it there and then. All right, now let's move on. And
mhm,
that's the heartbreaking thing. All right, might as well give this one more shot. One more shot. Okay, then, no worries. And it's just
mhm,
like that. It's so. He doesn't keep pushing. He's like, why? He doesn't get upset. It's just sort of like you just see it all go on.
mhm.
And silence plays a lot in that scene. And Kerry as well, like just being alongside him. I mean, we don't have much in common, no.
And it's just, it's that's the character, that I think that moment is the character. You get everything,
Yeah,
you get the heartbreak, you get the innocence, which you're saying,
yeah.
the naivety. So I'm just curious, in the filming of it, what it took
That was
to.
my last scene
Oh yeah, that's very
ever filmed.
interesting. That's
Yeah,
very
I was
interesting.
getting on a plane in 2 hours after that.
Jesus.
Yeah,
That's incredible. But I'm curious how long it took to get to where
I
what
think
we
we've done
saw.
3 takes. Three
Really.
takes. Yeah,
And
and
what was the sort of, what was the note? Like, what was the conversation? What was or was it just, letting you find it?
it was just Martin saying, "Do it again and again and again." And I think coming towards the end, I knew Dominic so much. Last scene, as I said, of
Hmm.
filming, to leave it to my last scene as well. It felt right, and I think Martin just wanted a few different versions, and he used a different that take and then that take. Um, but yeah, it was. I literally walked off then to get on the plane. Like, okay, Kerry, bye then.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
incredible.
Siobhan, boy, I'm getting on the plane.
I I'm always, I'm always fascinated by the things that happen immediately before, after some of the most incredible acting I've ever seen. I'll hear like you saying that you did that, and then you walk off.
Yeah,
Is it this is going to sound obvious, but is it a strange feeling to just sort of have that moment of time that's so emotional, and then sort of cross back
yeah, it
over?
was because I got in the car to go then, and I just felt really fucking sad. And obviously when you finish a movie, but because that scene, I really went for it. I
Hmm.
really did. I felt like it was the last bit of Dominic we'll ever get to see, and again, he sat with me for weeks, or for months, actually. And I just wanted to pour it all out. I actually wanted to, I wanted to really feel heartbroken, and be convinced if she said there is a chance, I would have stayed. I wouldn't have got on a plane. No, but honestly, I really went for it. I really went
Hmm.
for it. I think it was the time and place as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it honestly, it is very interesting to learn that that was your actual goodbye to Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's very palpable in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to ask you about another moment that I actually find really
Yeah.
subtly beautiful, and it's a moment between you and Colin. His character tells you about the lie he told to get that guy off the island, and Dominic's disappointment is so it's just so palpable, it's he's really heartbroken to learn that. So I'd love to know how you found that.
Do you know what? See, Colin, I'm always laughing when I'm filming with Colin because he plays it so good.
Mhm.
Um, but that scene was, do you know when you work with an actor that just it feels right, you can do it so many times. You actually look forward to doing it so many times with them.
Mhm.
There's something new, and every time you do it, that was that. I felt like that with Colin. He gives you so much to work with. You know what I mean? Total pro. But yeah, Dominic, that's the thing. He just switches from he just sheer disappointment, and that's actually not really that's not funny. I thought you were a happy lad. Like that's not,
Mhm.
and it's like that's his pure little soul, man. Yeah,
Does a character, does a character like Dominic, I assume that, and this is such a foo-foo answer to ask any actor, but like, when I'm curious about when a character sticks with you. I feel like something like Dominic, um, like you said, he is just such an innocent character. Does that sort of stick with you, and not in the sort of like, oh, I can't get out of character way, but
yeah.
just like,
But
it
no,
it's
for days after, actually, and even weeks after, my girlfriend was like, "You're still talking like Dominic." And,
yeah.
still going on like him, my ticks, I'll be touching my nose and pulling my jumper, and, because I was so immersed in it. You're on that island, it's beautiful, it's magical, but you are immersed, your
Hmm.
surroundings are Dominic's surroundings as well, there's not a lot out there, there's one shop, so it's the best form of fucking being in character that you could ask for.
Hmm.
And, it doesn't leave you, it doesn't, it stays with you, the mannerisms, the ticks, and
Absolutely.
um, but yeah, that's the beauty of it, man. It really is. That is the beauty of it.
Yeah. What if anything has changed, between working with Colin, through the
Mhm.
years? Has it remained the same? Is there a shorthand now? What
Just comfortability, I think. Sacred there, he was so nice to me in that, but it was our first time meeting. And then on Batman, we didn't work together, but we hung out. But then on
hmm
this, again, it was just knowing him. We've always stayed in touch. He's always been there for me. I've seen him after Sacred there many a time.
hmm
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Hmm.
So before we kind of wrap this up, you mentioned this a bit before, and I read this in an interview I think you did with Vice, where you did have this sort of dream list of directors that
Yeah.
that you work with. I'm wondering, how you're doing working through that list, and
Yep.
who's been kind of bumped to the top these days.
Andrea Arnold, Lynn Ramsey, Barry Jenkins. I have a ton. I have a ton. I really do. I got to meet some incredible filmmakers last night. Some icons like Steven Spielberg and Guillermo del Toro, and yeah, there's so many. There's so many.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And as you sort of, and again, I get the sense just from talking to you, this is a question that won't have a very clear answer. But when you look, past SAG, past Oscars, into the future, is there any specific challenge you're looking to take on? Is there any sort of,
Being a father, that's the biggest challenge for me right now. Is balancing my work life. I hate calling it work, but it's balancing my work life with my personal life. I'm committing to both with both same energy. My lady does an incredible job with my baby when I'm not there, and when I am there. Um, but yeah, just being a father is going to be the biggest challenge.
amazing? That's really beautiful. And I think that's a good way to wrap it up. But again, congratulations on the many, many things
You're a
happening.
legend, man. You're a legend.
Yeah, and again, I mean it when I say about that specific scene and the whole performance. It's really beautiful. And
Cheers, man.
yeah, I can't wait to see what's next.
Thanks a lot, bro. We'll talk again, I'm sure.
Absolutely, can't wait.
All
Cannot wait.
right, bro.
Have a
Vinny,
good one.
thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
bro. Legend.
Thanks, as always, to our brilliant producer, Jamie Muffett, and to the whole team at Backstage, Samantha Sherlock, Mark Stinson, Caitlin Watkins, and of course, Casey Howe. Visit Backstage.com, and don't forget, you can subscribe to Backstage with code ENVELOPE at checkout for a free trial. 100% free, you simply cannot beat that. For more exclusive content, find us on Facebook and Twitter at In the Envelope, and subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Who should we interview next? Let us know. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time for another peek in the envelope.